Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Eon Network podcast. I'm Adrian Matt, one of the hosts, of course. My broadcast colleague Hayden cannot join us here today, but this is going to be a very interesting broadcast, a very interesting podcast episode, and the reason why I'm saying that is because this is something that I have been talking about for many, many years, and not just that, but also being able to see how people react to this. It's quite interesting to see how they view this on their end. And what I'm talking about specifically in this podcast, the acceptance of people. The question really is acceptance dying? And let me further explain what I'm trying to say here. So every single time we talk about a certain subject, I'll go ahead and throw in politics, for instance. Every single time I'm indulged in a conversation dealing with politics, if the person has a different political affiliation, let's say, they are going to straight up target you. They're going to straight up insult you right away. I mean, there's been many, many times in the past that I've been involved in many different conversations dealing with politics. And of course, I usually say that I lean towards the Democrat Party, and instantly I get insulted every single time. And it's not just me. I see it all over. So why would that matter? Why does it matter if a person has a different opinion than you? Why does it matter that a person has a different point of view, a different perception, a different liking? Why would that matter exactly? Because there is so much hate in this world, and it all stems back to the idea that people need to be expecting you to be like them, and if you're not like them, if you don't agree with their ideologies, you're going to become a massive, massive target. But I want to go back to politics for just a second, because it really is rare to try to be involved in a conversation with a person who is having a different view than you, and they're there to try to just have a conversation. It really is rare, to have a simple conversation with a person, to respect them from beginning all the way to the end, despite the fact that they're two different opinions. Most of the time, every single time for that matter, there is a conversation dealing with politics. There is just so much hostility. There is so much anger between the two people. But why? Why is that a thing? I don't understand. And this is just personally me thinking about this and talking about it right now. I don't understand exactly what the whole point is. I don't understand exactly what the big deal is. Now, I love talking to people with different opinions. It allows me to really learn a lot. It allows me to put things in different perspective and allows me to view things from a different field, so to speak, and allowing me to learn things that I've never, ever heard before. It just lets me understand more from the other side. But the sad thing is, not many people are like that, because they're going to attack you. They're going to insult you for having a different form of opinion. And that's why today I really believe that acceptance is just dying. And I say politics is one of the biggest things going on right now, where if you're going to talk about your own political party, then the opposing political party, they're all going to just jump you. And it's not right. I think it's much easier for people to kind of sit back and listen to each other. It's much easier for people to understand each other. It's absolutely 100% okay for you not to agree with the person. It's absolutely 100% fine for you to have a disagreement and for you to talk about it. But that's the best thing, to communicate with each other, to allow each other to understand what is the difference, to allow each other to understand their own point of view. And perhaps maybe down the line, you will learn something that you've never heard before, that you never thought of. And I mentioned politics, but it's other stuff as well. I mean, let's say, for instance, the LGBTQ. A lot of people who state that they're a part of the LGBTQ. And, there's a lot of them who are celebrating the month of June for Pride Month. Of course, a couple of days ago, we celebrated the final day of June, 30th of June. So during the whole month, I saw a lot of hate posts on the people a part of the LGBTQ. And I sat there and I said, why would that even be a thing? I don't understand exactly what the whole point is on hating on anybody that might have a different orientation than you. And what are they going to do? Honestly, what are they going to do? You let them live their life, and they will let you live yours. So what's the big deal? If you see someone a part of the LGBTQ, I mean, I saw a video a couple of weeks ago of a person that was trying to avoid, and I get this is how stupid it sounds, but this certain person, he was trying to avoid actually walking up the LGBTQ stairs. Now imagine how stupid he must be to try to quote unquote avoid walking up the LGBTQ stairs, and he actually decided to jump on the railings in the middle of it and decided to climb up there and walk through it instead of actually touching the LGBTQ stairs with his feet. How ridiculous could you be to honestly do that? It's life. You let people live their lives. You have to accept them. You let them live theirs. And again, conversely speaking, they're going to let you live yours. But for some reason, people make an issue out of it every single time. And they're going to go after those who are different. Again, going back to acceptance. Acceptance is dying, even with the LGBTQ now. A lot of people, of course, are kind of going around them and insulting them and trying to make them feel bad over something that really has none of their business. And yet there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, decide to stick their nose where it doesn't belong, and they begin to insult those who are different. So politics is one thing. The LGBTQ is one thing. And I would even like to say it's just really any other subject. It's not just politics and, the LGBTQ. It's not even that. It's just about every single subject. I mean, every single time I see someone debating with another person online about whatever it is that they're debating and they have a different opinion, it always leads to a hostile conversation, an interaction that it has pure negativity. And it all goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. I said that it's really rare to try to find somebody that is able to respect your opinions and have a great conversation. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you the amount of people I've talked to through the years that have had a 100% different opinion than me and yet respected me for it. Honestly, I think at this point in time, probably maybe a handful in the last decade, if I'm being honest with you. I can't remember a time where, I think the last person that I spoke to that really was respectful from beginning all the way to the end when we had an opposing view in politics in this case, was a few months ago. This certain gentleman actually was very nice, and I told him, hey, listen, this is great because you and I are having a great conversation. We can actually talk here and be respectful towards each other. And he said the same thing. He said, yeah, I actually love the fact that you and I got the chance to talk and we were respectful about it. And again, that's just rare nowadays. People just can't accept. People cannot accept your different opinions. And I think my personal inkling probably has to be off of that. Maybe people are scared. Maybe some people just don't want to agree with you. Maybe it's going to hurt their ego. Maybe it's going to hurt themselves thinking that if they... Well, I want to retract the statement. I said agree with you. Let me retract the statement. I think a lot of people are scared to accept your opinions, your different opinions. Now, accepting and agreeing, completely different things. Just because you accept a person or whatever does not mean that you agree with them. However, that's where I think a lot of people blur the lines. A lot of people get confused. A lot of people go, well, yeah, if I accept this person for who they are, or if I accept it, blah, 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 it's going to seem as if I'm agreeing with them. And that's not the case. So that's probably my personal inkling as to why I think there's a lot of people who really go and insult their opposition, so to speak. They insult people who have a different opinion than them because they feel as if perhaps maybe they don't want to be prone to, quote unquote, falling on their knees and trying to, quote, agree with the person that they're debating with. When in reality, all that is hogwash. You can absolutely have a great, great conversation with a person who has a different opinion than you and not even agree with their standards, not agree with what they've been telling you or saying in the conversation, but still have a good one. Remember, I said it myself. The last time I had a good conversation with a person a few months back, and before that conversation, I can't tell you the last time that I had a good conversation with a person that was just all respectful from the beginning all the way to the end. Every single time I get myself in a conversation, for some reason it turns hostile. And I'm not the one who actually I'm not the one that fires the gun first, so to speak. I'm not the one who actually begins the entire altercation. I like talking to people. I really do. But one of the reasons why I've become a little bit less, honestly, I've become a little less interactive with people overall through the years because of how people react and how people treat each other. Like I said, I love people. I love talking to them. But over the past couple of years, I personally have been having a lot of hostile conversations because people, of course, jump on me every single time. So, for the most part, I think a lot of people, as I said, they're just scared. Either that or they just, they have a mean streak. Who knows? But every time I indulge myself in a conversation and I engage myself in one, I always do what I can to be respectful. No matter if they're Republican, no matter if they're Democrat, no matter if they're gay, no matter if they're straight, no matter if they are Islamic or Christian, it doesn't really matter to me. I like to talk to people, and if they're respectful about it, I'll simply do the same thing. I'll show them the respect back. But for the most part, when I'm talking to someone and they have a very, very different mindset than me, they will get very, very hostile. And I believe, in my opinion, that is probably one of the worst things that's been happening in this generation over the past couple of years. People have been very, very hostile. They have been absolutely irate and livid. They want you to agree with them. And if you don't agree with them, they're going to go all on you. And that isn't right. And I know this is all cliche and people are going to go, oh my God, here's Mr. Goody Two Shoes. But this is the honest to God truth. I mean, this world would be much, much better, honestly, if everybody was able to treat each other with respect, even if they had a different viewpoint. All the conflicts, all the different frustrations and bullying that take place, all the different issues and whatnot that take place, it divides us more and more and more. And it can all simply be completely diverted just by accepting the person's opinion, the person's different opinion, more to say. And to me, unfortunately, that's something that a lot of people have not been really doing in the last couple of years. And I say last couple of years, but if I'm honest, I remember it being really, really bad in the last maybe decade or so, but it's gotten a lot worse in the last couple of years. It really has. Just one little different opinion you might have with a person, and boom, it's done. All the respect is out the window. I mean, I remember, I'll give you an example. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to this guy, and we were talking about whatever subject. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a pretty cool subject that we got the chance to talk about for about 5 minutes in the conversation. And then he asked me, oh, who do I support? Do I support Biden or Trump? And I said, oh, well, I support Biden. I think he's a great president. I think he's done a lot of good stuff for the country. And I understand that Trump has done a lot of things for the country as well, but I personally lean towards Biden because he's done better. Now, of course, I was respectful about it. He told me that he supported Trump. And I said, oh, okay, that's good. But can you tell me perhaps maybe, on your end, what is it about Trump that you liked over Biden? When he was explaining in the conversation, he would then later insult me just by calling me brainless. He would say something to the effect of, Trump is a great guy. He's going to make America great again. And you brainless people who are going to be supporting Biden is what making this country wrong. And I was sitting there thinking, come on. We were just having a good conversation about whichever subject it was. I think it was about movies or whatever, but nonetheless, we were having a great, respectful conversation. He asked me who I supported. I said Biden. And I simply asked him what was it about Trump that he liked. And then he insulted me about it. And it goes to show exactly, and this isn't the only conversation that I've had. I know some people are going to be listening to this and going, well, that's just one conversation. I'm sure. But the thing is, I've had many, many conversations. And it's not just me. I see it all over the place as well. But, speaking from experience, here's my personal anecdote. I feel as if people, again, treat you with disrespect for having different opinions. It doesn't matter if you're nice to them heading into the conversation. It really doesn't matter if you are having a great conversation depending on which subject. It isn't until you reach to a point where you go to the left and the other goes to the right. And when that point happens, it becomes as if you guys are versing each other or something. I don't like that about people. It's been like that for quite some time. I just don't like that about people. I mean, going back to what I was just talking about, the guy that I had a conversation with when he called me brainless and other insults, I talked to him about it. And I said, I don't understand exactly what the big deal is. I told you I was supporting Biden. You told me you supported Trump. I didn't, disrespect you about it. And he went on and on and on. So I just don't understand exactly why people are there. They are very hostile. And I keep using the word hostile, but that really is the best word to describe how people are nowadays. They are very hostile. They're livid. They're completely irate every single time they listen to something that is not up to their standards, and that's got to change. If every single person in this world was to literally just be able to just sit back and listen to you and to the person who has a different opinion than you and just respectfully respond back with whichever response without really insulting anybody, without insulting them, without insulting anyone. This entire world would become a much better place. People would be more educated. People would be more accepting. People honestly would be more bright. They would become brighter than ever before because different opinions allow people to learn. You must talk to someone who has a different opinion to eventually learn something. And that's the bottom line. You get to learn things by different people who don't share the same opinions in you. But instead, though, it's not about that nowadays. It's all about, oh, I got to be right. Oh, this person doesn't agree with my political affiliation, among other things, so I'm going to attack him, or I'm going to attack her, or I'm going to attack whoever. I mean, that right there is not right. It just isn't right, in my opinion. Many people are falling into the idea that you must be disrespectful to the person that is different than you. And I feel as if social media nowadays, too, coming into the effect of this, I feel as if social media is just one of the main drivers at this point. They're really influencing a lot of people out there that it's okay to disrespect those who have a different opinion than you. And there's a lot of different videos spreading around. People are applauding when someone begins to yell at another person for having a different opinion, because most people in the comment section might share the same opinion, therefore they're going to group up and go against the person who has a different opinion. It's just, there's all this fighting and there's this mayhem and there's so much division every single time. And again, this is one of the reasons why I don't really interact with people that much, because I know exactly what's going to happen whenever we get into a subject that's going to lead to a different opinion. I know what's going to happen. They're going to think of you differently. They're going to think that you're either, quote, dumb or brainless, to use the word that the other gentleman at one point in time used to me. They're going to think of you as weird, who knows? So there are so many different problems from a lot of people out there who are just trying to really, I sit back and I still wonder, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, exactly why do they spread this negative energy into this world? Why do they get the chance to be negative when you can have a very, very good conversation with people, even if they have a different viewpoint? So I truly think acceptance is dying. And that's the title of the video, but dare I say, maybe acceptance is already dead. Maybe people don't want to accept each other that much. They only accept those who are in the same level as them, so to speak. If you're in a different level, and what I mean by level is, if you are in a different, if you have a different opinion is what I'm trying to get at. If you have a different point of view of something, it doesn't matter what it is, you're just going to be seen as a target. That, to me, has to be probably one of the biggest problems and pet peeves that I've have. And I truly believe, in my opinion, that that's definitely a problem and a concern that's been really, really rising in the last several years. A lot of people don't understand that one of the main reasons why there are so many different conflicts around the world is because we can't accept the fact that we have different opinions. We can't accept the fact that the opposition has a different opinion than us or whoever. So instead of actually talking to them and communicating with them, we go straight to insulting. We go straight to acting that they are our target. And this is how problems really begin. And it's able to just spread from there. It really is. It really can influence other people to do the same as well. And the more and more people are going to see that it's okay to insult those who have a different opinion than you, the more and more we're going to be seeing it with other people around the world. And like I said, I truly think that a lot of people, unfortunately, are not understanding acceptance. It's sad to me in a way. It is. In a way, it's really, really depressing because, you would love to have a great conversation with people and get to know them and all that stuff. The unfortunate part, however, is that you can't necessarily do that because, for the most part, if you talk to a person that has a different opinion than you, you're going to probably lead into a fight or an argument or whatever you want to call it. It's more than likely because that's how people roll nowadays. And in fact, like I said, that's how people have been rolling over the last couple of years. 10 plus years, I would say, from my experience. But if we just took the time to listen to each other, we took the time to understand where the other person's coming from or understand their views, and then communicate and tell them exactly how you feel, you can meet middle ground. And there's going to be less conflicts. And this could actually range from less conflicts as in, less conflicts for maybe a simple conversation that you might be having, a simple argument, to even the world leaders around the world who are having conflicts with other countries and other people who are leading their own. I mean, just imagine if we're able to understand each other just by talking to each other. Imagine if we're able to just sit down and say, okay, so what is it that you have a problem with? Go ahead and let me know. After the person's done, you let them know where you feel, where you stand, and maybe talk about a solution. Or maybe just say, hey, listen, I'll shake your hand and I respect your opinions for sure. I think at this point in time, it's just definitely, respectful for us to listen to each other. We don't have to agree with each other, but we can accept each other for our own opinions and move on. In fact, I'll tell you one story that I actually read online. You can actually check this out online. This has been a wonderful story. And I can't believe it took me this long to get into the story because I think it's wonderful, in my opinion. There was a story, and you can Google this, but about a black man that became friends with a KKK leader. Now think about that for just a second. A black man became friends with the same leader that led a group that was hating on black people, that literally would spread the message that black people should be lynched, for crying out loud. So a black man and the KK leader became good friends. How did this happen? Well, this certain black gentleman went to the KKK rallies and he told them, hey, listen, I'm not here to pose any problems. I'm not here to insult anybody. I know your views. I just want to sit here and learn about you guys and why you guys feel this way. So after him attending the rallies week in and week out, he had a connection, especially with the leader himself. The KKK leader and the black gentleman would conversate every single time and literally talk about the issues going on, and they would communicate with each other, and literally every single time they would understand each other, and they would end up becoming friends. Why? Because they might have a different viewpoint, but they were able to sit down and listen, and it diffused the entire situation. Now, from what I understand, the KKK leader would later just step down because of the love that he had for his friend. And this is a true story. In fact, you can see this online. I mean, again, it's a really, really wonderful story. It's a very, very incredible story that I think everybody should actually get the chance to watch, because it goes to show it's a pure example that you can make friends with people who have a different viewpoint than you. You can absolutely have a very healthy discussion with a person who has a different viewpoint than you. And we can live in a world where everybody would just be very, very kind towards each other, even if they have a different opinion, if they follow a different belief, if they have a different ideology. Even with all that, it is possible for us to live that way. Unfortunately, one of the drivers, as I said moments ago, the main drivers would be social media and the people in it spewing their hatred, spewing their absolutely vile and vicious message that is able to just spread through in the minds of many out there, and that will then live off with the idea that it's okay to really go against those who are different than you. Groups of friends will group up to go against a certain person that might be, different as well. And the biggest example, as I said, someone supporting Biden and someone supporting Trump. And personally, coming from me, as I support Biden, and I get it. If you don't like Biden, that's fine. If you don't agree with my opinions, that's completely fine. I'm the type of person that will accept anything. If you disagree with me and you tell me exactly why you disagree with me, I love that. Sit back and listen. We can have a great conversation over it. It's just that not many people are like that. So I do want to say, it's just an example, though, overall exactly what's wrong with the current climate of this world. A lot of people out there are honestly treating each other with so much disrespect because they have a different viewpoint. It's as simple as that. Just simply being different than the person will cause some form of conflict. Personally, I think we can change. However, unfortunately, though, I don't think people want to change. And that's the problem. If more and more people came on social media and started spreading the message that absolutely it's okay to sit down and talk to those who might have a different ideology than you, maybe you would start to see that influence, that domino effect take place and spread it around the world, and then we'll adapt to the idea of it over the next couple of years, and then it would become a very less hostile environment. But the thing is, as I said, people don't want to change. People will use the amount of tools they have, the social media platforms. People will use all these different tools at their disposal to spread their message and to try to dominate that message. And if you have a different message than them, then they're going to try to shut you down, which will lead to more conflicts, more altercations, more arguments, more negativity, more insults. That to me is sad. It really is. And in my opinion, I think we're much better than that. Us human beings can really, really be the nicest people ever. But it's just going to be up to us ourselves, though, to try to treat others with respect without caring what others might think. And that's another thing. I feel as if a lot of the time as well, people will disrespect those who have a different opinion just because they're afraid that the person, they're afraid that if the person who's disagreeing with the other actually maybe somehow, some way be kind to them, then maybe their friends or whomever, their entire platform or their audience are going to target them as well. Hey, that's not cool. Wait a minute. You're just accepted this guy. You're being nice to him. You're not supposed to be nice to this person. And go on from there. I think a lot of people just don't want to be targeted as well. That's got to change. That entire perception has to change. That is an awful perception. I know there's a lot of people who truly think that if they really become nice to those who are different, then they're going to be viewed as targets. That's awful. That's got to die down. And social media has got to do its best to step up. And I thought social media was all about positivity. I thought social media, when it first came out years ago, I thought it was going to be used for the idea of being able to be nice towards each other and trying to influence the good and trying to educate each other. But instead, it really became the playground for so many conflicts. There are conflicts left and right. You can never really, it's really hard to try to find a social media conversation, people who have a conversation on, let's say, X or whatever else. It's really hard to find two people talking back and forth and respecting each other's opinions. For the most part, you will just always see insult after insult after insult. It's just a change. Sorry, not change. Chain. It's a change. It really is a chain. You will see two people insult each other, and then another person comes in, and another person chimes in, then another and another and another, and again, it's just an entire chain. That's got to change. That has to. If we really want to accept each other, if we really want to see a much better world, we need to do a better job really honestly listening to each other. And if we listen to each other, then we would not be able to see all these conflicts. We would be able to understand each other more and deep down grow a better connection. And deep down, just like the man who was black and the man who was the leader of the KKK, deep down form a great friendship out of it. Just imagine this. How many great friends could people have made had they just listened to a person who has a different opinion than them? Obviously, you will never know because instead, they decided to just take the time to insult them. But you just never knew. What if the person that you were arguing with for having a different opinion, what if you had so many different commonalities, you just didn't know it, and you would have actually had a very good friend? So take the time, honestly, to get to know people and to listen to their different opinions and to understand where they're coming from, it's going to be all right. If you're going to talk to someone that has a different opinion than you, respect it. Because at the end of the day, it's all about just learning and treating each other with kindness. I unfortunately believe that we're living under the world where, well, we're living in a world where we're under the impression that it's okay to be mean towards each other for having different opinions. That to me is just incredibly disgusting. You follow that ideology, you need to change. Well, listen, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for the Eon Network podcast. I do want to thank you guys for getting the chance to check this out. It was a very interesting talk, of course. I would recommend everybody to check out the story. Google it. I mean, I'm telling you, a black man that got the chance to be friends with a KKK leader, and that man himself, the KKK leader, got the chance to talk to the black fellow, and they got the chance to become friends. And it was a beautiful story. And that's how it just accept each other. That's what it is. From politics to all the different religion to different ideologies to, heck, book stories. I mean, I've seen a lot of people actually insult each other for having different opinions on the way they see their characters in movies and all that stuff. Whichever subject, it's okay to have a different opinion as long as you sit back and listen to them and get into a very good conversation, engage with the conversation. That way, perhaps maybe you'll get the chance to really make a good friend out of it.